Hey now.
Ada.
Welcome to Proper Modulation, episode 3.
Part 3.
Part 3. I'm GPD, and of course, we've got...
I am Kurimanjida.
That's too long. You don't just want to say Kurimanju? I can't, because you said I am Kurimanju.
Well, listen, I don't know what you're ever going to say. You don't like to help me prepare. I've never done this before. You like watching me fumble around and screw up. I think you get laugh out of it.
Like if my name, let me put it this way. Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misinterpreting. If my screen name was I am GPD,
right,
I would just say, you can't say I am GPD.
Wait, can we start over?
Or can I? I don't know. I mean, if you're being... I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Welcome to the show. The Stern Show is back. We actually have live shows to talk about. It's not very nice when the Stern Show goes on vacation.
Yes.
When we're doing our second episode. But to be honest, I don't think it really mattered. We didn't run out of things to talk about. We killed an hour and 20 minutes, and we had a good time.
And we didn't even make it through the entirety of what we wanted to talk about anyway. I think we have probably too much crap to talk about.
Once you do, I feel like once you've spoken for 80 minutes straight,
yeah, right.
That's, you gotta go do something else. And I think people don't want to listen. Howard, sure, he does a 4-hour show, but there's commercials. He gets up. He's got he's got a big support mechanism. We're just two guys talking. You can't just do that's 80 minutes. That's it.
Talking about nonsense.
80 minutes is even too much if you're really being honest. If I'm really being honest, but I feel like I don't know. This outline looks pretty long. I feel like we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Anything that you've been up to?
Nothing, man. Nothing. Trying not to forget that society exists and we'll return to it one day. I try to keep myself mentally fit.
Right.
Remember to reach out with the fam connect and then listen to my Stern laugh. Same old, man. It's Kurimanju.
Sounds like no table tennis, though.
I haven't played table tennis. Last time I played was with you.
I know. We got to fix
it. A year and a half ago or something. Holy crap, it's been like a year.
I know. Well, the whole last year was it's literally the lost year. So it's nobody did anything the whole year.
It didn't exist. It didn't exist.
Except I played table tennis every week.
You played table tennis every week.
But only once a week. If I had a table in my house, I'd be playing a lot more.
You played table tennis, and you also started cooking on Twitch. But I haven't seen that in a while. I'm wondering if you're giving up on it.
Oh, no. It's just... it was weird circumstances because of the weather. The HelloFresh boxes have not been showing up.
Oh, geez.
With any type of... I mean, I'm sorry. They've been showing up. Certainly, they've been showing up. They haven't been showing up with any way that you can predict when they're going to arrive. So
gotcha. Okay.
It's just hard. And then sometimes, I don't know. I'm tired, or I streamed that day already.
Right.
People. I feel like also people are sick of looking at me. They got some... This is not, it's not a great experience. Once a day is plenty, for sure.
Watching you screw up some type of HelloFresh.
Right. I mean, at least that one the camera zoomed out more, so it's not as frightening. But
what have you been up? Go ahead.
No, that's it. What am I up to? Nothing.
Yeah.
I've been. What are my interests? What am I into? You know what I'm into.
Hey, man.
I gotta be honest.
Playing the piano, man.
What did he think his name was? Not Howard. Hollis. He got... Sorry, we went right into medicated Pete phony phone calls.
That was great. Oh, man. Oh, anyway, go talk about you.
I was just saying, the only thing that I really do, I mean, nobody's doing anything now, but the only thing that I do is I go to Orange Theory once or twice a week. And, everyone's masked up and they're at 30% capacity or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And to be honest, it was so intense on Monday, I couldn't even go back today. I was going to go back today, but my legs were sore. They stopped being sore yesterday, but then I played table tennis for 2 hours. So then I was like, you know what? I should probably just cancel Friday because you got to do this. And
this is great to hear. I'm so thrilled because every time I play, you guys don't know this. I'm guessing most of you have seen him play table tennis online or somewhere, but every time I would play with him, I'd have back pain, leg pains for days. I'd be bedridden. I'm like, why is this happening? And I take lessons and I work out and blah, blah, blah. So I'm glad to hear you are suffering.
You You have to. I learned after taking lessons. Like I have a table tennis coach that I play with once a week. I have no ego or shame because I just admit this stuff.
Well, learning is good, man. It's why not learn from an expert? My mom's a teacher. I'm a big fan of education.
Didn't we talk about this last week with the
self-taught artists versus trained artists
and Chris Wilding's fellatio technique?
Well, see, that's not fellatio. What you're gesturing is a hand job.
The people, right? Okay, whatever. It's hard to do that and talk at the same time. So anyway, so I had this coach, a table tennis coach, and he's very honest. He's a French guy, so he'll just fucking tell you anything. He'll yell at you. He'll tell you like why do you suck today? Like stuff like that. Like things like normally when you're paying a guy $60 an hour, you don't necessarily expect him to say to you. And for that reason, I don't know that he has a lot of other people that he's training. But I like it. I don't have
why do you suck today?
I don't have that ego like in that way. Like I realize like I'm not an athlete. I'm awkward. And like I'm lucky that like I just don't like I do bump into shit. Like I bump into shit I have cuts like all over my hands because like Howard, I'm not 6'5", but I'm 6'4". It's pretty close. And maybe like he's probably like 6'4" now because he's getting older and his posture is probably bad. Mm-hmm. But my arms are long, so when I walk around, they just knock into shit. And like I cut literally this week. I don't know. Hold on, I'll show you on here. Hold on. You can't see. There's a. I'm doing this.
Can you try to do that again, please?
Hold on.
Do that again. Yeah.
There you go. You can see
yes, this is great content.
You can see the scar. I literally I looked down at my hand. I remember hitting my hand on something. But I looked down at my hand, and my hand is like bleeding like a lot, and I have no idea what I hit it on or how I did it. It could have been anything. Like it just happens all the time. Anyway, I don't know where I was going. Oh, so the ping pong coach told me straight up. Yeah. He's like, "Look, you're in terrible shape. Table tennis is legs. It's all legs. So if you don't have the strength in your legs, like you just can't do anything. Like you have to be doing squats. You have to be doing you have to exercise and stuff. So most coaches won't tell you that. They'll just say, oh, swing your arm like this and do that. But so I joined the gym and he was right. And I see like big changes, especially like yesterday. I was really I was looking, this place records you. It's called GamePod, and so you can watch it back. And like I was like, wow, like I look so much better than I did like even a year ago. Like I felt good.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's good to have experts.
Yes, it is. We won't become better at things if we don't learn from people who are better than us at them.
Right. We don't know everything. We don't know anything, really.
I know everything.
You might.
I do.
Right. You do. But you're really the only one that I've met that really does know everything.
Yeah. And usually when I tell people that I know everything, I can tell that they don't because they told me, no, you don't. Gotcha.
See, but I don't because I know. So now you know that I know everything.
And knowing's half the battle.
G.I. Joe. All right. Let's move on to rando news.
Rando news. Yeah.
This is your I feel like this is your section. Get right on that mic. How's your new mic working out, by the way?
It's working great when you work it right. I apologize. I'm looking at this outline here. Go ahead.
Do you like hearing your voice in the headset?
I do. I got to find a good positioning for the arm. That's what I don't like. I'm trying not to hit it this time. So I will be good. I will not touch it. I will talk into the mic. I will not make love to the mic. I will be kind and gentle to the mic.
No, you need to be rough with the mic with your voice, not with your hands. You need to project into the mic.
You got that right.
Don't you know Howard? I was trying to do Howard impressions, by the way.
I want to hear this. Please, please.
It's hard. I haven't done it enough to try.
It's gonna be terrible. I know it is.
No, it is terrible. I was driving to ping pong yesterday, and I was really just trying to repeat him. It's hard. It's more about getting his laugh, and also I think it's very difficult. His voice is really deep, and I think he's got some sort of compression on there.
Oh yeah, earlier this week, it sounded like it was almost underground when he was
right. It's almost like the Super Bowl guy that he was taunting. So he's got some compression and some other shit too, probably like a whole rack of stuff.
He's certainly modulating it.
By the way, we're using compression right now too. We're just it's just software compression. Anyway, I'm trying to work on it in the car. I'm not ready for that. But it is mostly, it's going to come down to Kitty. Is that a doggy?
It's a dog. My dog just went downstairs.
I just saw a tail go by.
Heard the waterfall of nails against the stairs.
A good Howard impression is going to come down to getting his laugh right, I feel like, and his little like isms because and his deepness. Like you saw the
Right.
TikTok of the guy putting the mask on. He's
Yeah,
like,
that guy was
Robin.
good.
And his thing like he went, like he had the right noises.
I can't do it at all.
Man. No, it's very difficult. Now you don't hear really many good Howard impressionists. That guy is really one, and I heard one other guy who's actually also very tall and looks like Howard. I forgot his name, but he was on the show once. But other than that,
how do you feel about Sal's?
horrible. And even Jimmy Fallon's is not good. I don't think Jimmy Fallon is really, his impressions are very good, like almost like ungodly. Really,
Right.
I was listening to his Al Pacino and stuff.
Yeah,
they played the clip the other day,
and he switches quick.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, he's on another. He's a prodigy, obviously, but I don't think his Howard is there.
Well, so here's this is how you bridge the gap. If you can't do the voice, take a few of the phrases so that people still know exactly what you're talking about when you do it. So make sure you got quite frankly in there. Make sure you got the fact of the matter is. Make sure you got what else? What's another?
I never noticed that Howard said "quite frankly" a lot.
Quite frankly. Once he actually said on the show, because people were calling him out on it, saying "quite frankly" all the time, and he said, "I'm sorry, I'll try not to say quite frankly."
Oh, that explains the other Stern podcast. Is that what QF stands for?
That's what I think. I thought they were referring, because that's what he said. He's always like, quite frankly, because you don't want to say honestly. If you say honestly, people immediately say, "Oh, were you lying to me?" At some subconscious level, that's where they think, and you can't always say to be sincere, or if I could be direct with you, you can't always go to that if you're talking for 5 hours a day.
Right.
On the radio, quite frankly.
He says, right, Robin.
Right. What else is in the news?
Tell us.
So we got Marianne from Brooklyn interview on the Liberal Sherpa podcast.
What is that? What you are the bigger Stern fan, I feel, because like you somehow knew about this, and also, did you listen to it?
I didn't listen to all.
Oh, you didn't listen.
I listened to a little bit. Marianne jumps on like a pro. It's what I love about her.
Okay.
She is an expert caller, and over the years there have been a few callers that have trouble keeping up with Howard, and we know Howard will get kind of a little bit pissed when the caller interrupts the flow of the show. So I thought we could give some caller tips for the fans out there who might be interested in calling into the show.
I've never called into the show. I don't have.
I've never called in, but I know a good caller when I hear one.
Marianne, you're saying is a good caller?
Yes, because she gets into it. Okay, I'm gonna give you some tips. For one, don't dawdle. Don't say hello. Don't say how are you.
It's amazing.
What are you doing? Don't say how's your day going. Just go straight in and say, hey now. Go. When he plays hey now back to you, a technique that can work if you want to keep up with that hey now, you go like he says, you go hey now, and then you say, so Howard, I wanted to talk to you about, and then you say hey now. You'd be the hey now machine.
Hey now.
Hey now. And I wanted to tell you that I heard Marianne from Brooklyn on the Liberal Sherpa podcast. Give me my hey now machine. I got to show you.
Hey now.
Hey now. And then you just go back to hey now.
Hey
you
now.
go back to your point, and then you hey now. You finish your point. Hey now. And that way he doesn't get you off of the phone, because he will laugh before he just says, get off of my phone.
Right.
The guys who can't do it, they start laughing too hard. And he's like, all right, bye, boom.
You got to stay on target.
Stay on target. Get straight to it. Okay. Don't be too scripted. Okay. Bobo, this is actually something I was wondering what you think about this. I think we should have a segment of the show was Bobo's question, a hit or a miss today. Because he spends so much time writing that shit out. He's sitting at the waterfront, or now he's in Florida, wherever, and he's practiced. He's got his books. He keeps his notebooks like Jackie does. Okay.
They're all horrible. Questions. I don't even need to listen to them. I know that's horrible. Has he ever had a good question?
Yes, because if Howard goes off on this and starts talking forever, or he's ragging on Bobo forever, that's a win as a caller. You want to stay on.
That
you don't
doesn't
want to get
count. That's just Howard being good. That's just Howard turning garbage into gold. I mean, which is basically 90% of the show.
That's the job.
Right. Well, okay. Was there a Bobo call this week?
Yes. Bobo asked if Howard repeated, if they came to him to ask him to be on the Super Bowl again. And it irritated Howard. He's like, Bobo, seriously.
Wait, who was on the Super Bowl?
like a Super Bowl commercial or something. Like his
Oh.
Bobo said, "Did they ask you to be on the Super Bowl again?" He didn't even answer the question. He's like,
Yeah.
"Bobo, no."
See, I told you. All misses, 100% misses. So you didn't listen to the Marianne from Marianne on the liberal whatever podcast.
I listened to a little bit of it, but it was late and I was tired. I went to
What does she talk about when she goes on a podcast?
They were talking about their love for the Stern Show there, and Marianne's calling in over the years. And I stand for Marianne, so I just like seeing Marianne anywhere.
Really?
So I'm just happy.
I didn't know that.
I like her sincerity. I like how she doesn't let her access, at least from afar, it doesn't seem to go to her head too much, except for when she calls in the show. But then she's interacting with her colleagues, her other whack packers. So it's, you know, it's normal. There's a ranking in that hierarchy.
Right.
You know, you got the Fab Five in the studio, and then you know.
Right. Then you have the whack packers who appear that they can function just fine in society for the most part. There's not too many of those. It's Marianne and.
Well, Cameo has changed it's changed the calculus a little bit, because before was, do you have a house? Do you have a drug problem? Are you on SSI? Those were kind of the criteria for the whack packers. But now High Pitch doesn't need to be on SSI. He's got Cameo. He can't qualify for it.
Do we know that he's off SSI?
I certainly hope he is, because they will notice that he's getting paychecks. Because he's on Cameo. I mean,
he's not that bright. I think he's going to fuck that up. I think he might pull a crazy cabbie.
Okay, listen. I want to keep it moving.
Yeah, do.
All right. Gina Carano.
Yes.
Chino Mando no more. Are you aware of what happened?
Yes, we talked about it on the CADcast on Wednesday night. It happened live while we were doing the CADcast on Wednesday. So we were immediately able to comment about it.
I bring this up because Howard hates it when people crap their own gigs. He hates it. It's a thing that really sets him off.
Yes.
Napoleon Dynamite. Just do that character for the end of time. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's another example of somebody, let's see, who stepped on their own? Jackie. That's like the classic example.
Oh, there's a million people like that.
People.
There's a million actors who do that. And sometimes it works out for them. But I think Howard's point is 95% of the time, you should have just stuck with the gig until it runs the course and then go on to the next thing if you can.
Go on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's Howard. But look, not everybody is Howard. Howard has this drive, and he views success very differently than I think other people. His level of success means he's number one in radio,
right?
And everything that comes with it. And he'll do whatever it takes to get there. While some people just want to have a living and have a nice, healthy family life and personal life, which Howard is. Maybe he's getting there these days, but it's been a long road. I mean, he's almost 70.
Right.
I'm almost 50.
He's got a lot of interest, though. However, Gina Carano's slightly different. She screwed up her own gig by tweeting. Literally, answers to questions nobody's asking her. Just shut up, wait for the next season. You actually got that, the Star Wars fandom, which over the years has been male dominated, to like your character and be invested in your character, and you screw it up because you have to compare Republicans to Nazis, to Jews being persecuted during the Holocaust. It doesn't even make any sense.
No.
It's the most insane thing. That's why I say some people don't need social media. Like if I'm on Star Wars, guess what? You probably won't find me on Twitter. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? It just enrages me when I see that nonsense. Just do the job. No one's asking you to get rid of your job. Plus, there's other people on that team. There's other actors. There's the whole crew that depend on this paycheck. Like, they want to be in the same sentence with Holocaust.
Right. They're like, wait, what?
I mean, what? What happened to Baby Yoda?
Right. No one thought about Baby Yoda.
It made me very upset.
It is weird when I think it just shows you how addictive social media is. And also, like, actors like Gina Carano probably have a lot of downtime. So they're spending probably a lot of time on social media, plenty of time to get indoctrinated on Facebook with, all the shit that whatever she's into. I don't know.
She's like, I could be My Pillow too.
I mean, yeah, well, we're going to get into that soon because that was a big focus on one of the shows this week.
Okay. How much more time do I got for my rando?
Go quick. Go through it.
Okay. So next, Marilyn. So the reason also, everybody out there, part of this is I want to know what do we think? What do the fans think Howard is going to pick out of these random things that happen in between shows to bring up? Because these are all kind of things I think he would rant on.
Oh, okay. Is that what this is?
Yeah, Marilyn.
I don't think he's going to bring up the Marianne from Brooklyn on the podcast.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
He goes to her every single day.
He does. Does he really?
Love
Not
you,
every day.
Love you, Marianne. What?
She's good. I mean, she's good on the air, and when she's not, and Howard knows when to hang up on her. So it's like a no lose situation. At the worst case scenario for Howard, he can fill a couple minutes with somebody with a funny voice, and if it sucks, he can hang up on her.
And he does the crow sound effect anyway.
I wish I had a button I could push, and just some woman would just start screaming at me, and then when I had enough, I could just push the button again, and she'd be gone. It'd be great for this show. We need one. How about like somebody from Queens, maybe?
Okay, next.
Yes.
Marilyn Manson.
Yes.
Okay. Me Too. He actually, and I didn't know about this. There's been so much going on, but the actress from Game of Thrones, I forget her. You don't remember her name? We'll look it up.
Well, you're talking about the actress from Westworld, right? Rachel Evan Wood? No.
Evan Wood came out, I believe, after the actress from Game of Thrones. I might have it backwards.
Okay.
But I didn't know the actress. Oh, here's what it is. She testified last year about the abuse, but didn't reveal who the abuser was. After the Westworld actress came out, then she identified it was Marilyn Manson. And I'm talking like crazy, like Norwegian, lock you up and beat you with whips kind of stuff and chase you around.
Really? I didn't read it. I didn't read
with
too much
axes.
Axes were involved?
Yes. At one point, he accused her of putting cockroaches in the walls, and he took axes to the walls to get the cockroaches, I don't know, to beat up the walls.
God.
And then he started chasing her with the axe. Crazy. Okay.
That's crazy.
That's
he's
crazy.
a fucking scary looking guy. Like, he's a big dude. And he got thrown off his show. You know, he was on American Gods. He's on a TV show called American Gods.
Okay.
And I watched that show. It's a great show. It's on Stars. And he had one or two more episodes left. He's like a guest appearance. And they're basically just deleting him from the season.
Jesus.
From the rest of the
season. I mean, but who didn't know? I mean, like, at the same time,
I didn't even recognize him. I didn't know it was him. He didn't look anything like him. He was playing like some guy named Johan. It was fucking like I never would have known. Even when they told me he was in the show, I still didn't know who it was.
He was just making his crossover. What a loser. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry.
Go on.
Bam Margera. Boom. Fired from Jackass. What is the latest one? 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. Jackass 4. Okay. And now he wanted to see, like, put up this video on online. You can find it on TMZ, I believe, where he's telling his fans to boycott Jackass.
He looks bad, and he makes me feel bad about everything.
It was I couldn't watch the whole thing because it's like you're just obviously watching somebody who needs an intervention. You know, he just needs help. He needs help, and unfortunately, no one's taking that phone out of his hand. You know, as you can see, there's kind of like a consistent theme here, except for the actual violent person, Marilyn Manson. Allegedly.
I remember Howard playing some BAM stuff when he had didn't he have like a breakdown like on Dr. Phil or something?
Yeah.
I remember, and that was like a couple of years ago. So yeah I don't know. Celebrity life is tough, especially like we'll get into this a little later when we talk about Dustin Diamond.
Right.
Let's move forward and we'll get there. Because Bam was a kid celebrity, basically. I mean, he was a skateboarder, a pro, like at a really young age, and too much money, too young. It's a problem.
Yeah, and too much, but not just the money, but too much attention for the negative behavior.
That too. But you don't even
that's
need
what
that.
Made them popular. But when you're so like Artie falling asleep in the chair.
Yeah.
Okay. All of us knew something was up because it's not normal to do that. But because it was content, it's allowed to go on longer than it would have if it weren't content. But even by neutral standards, nobody would be allowed to behave this out of whack if they weren't paid for behaving out of whack.
To be on a show and be on a wacky show also.
Like
right?
Jackass, like, I mean, they're riding in the
Yes.
What did they do? I remember those early ones. They were driving around neighborhoods like blowing air horns at old people.
They did everything.
They did everything. Anyway, that's all I have for my rando news.
Okay. Well,
let us know in the chat if you like it.
Let's get into the show rundowns from the week. We got 3 new shows this week. I guess that's the best we're ever gonna get for the end of his career. But hey, it's better than no new shows.
Better than no new.
So Howard comes back from the break, and because it was Super Bowl the day before, and so we get the Super Bowl reaction. and update. I mean, I don't. Are you into football? I don't know. Is that one of your interests?
I like football like back in the day, not so much now. I didn't want to. I wanted to watch the commercials, but I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to
Right.
stay
You
all
don't care.
night, up all night. Yeah, no. I'm gonna watch it and be like, that's a contact. I'm gonna see like a super spreader in my head. I can't watch people touch each other in real time.
I mean, I watched it, but I don't care about football. I don't know. I don't care about anything really. I care
You
about.
didn't
I
care
don't even
about
care
the
about the
romance,
commercials really. Like
the romance story about Brady, the
it's
American hero
interesting.
story.
That's interesting about I mean, the way Howard framed it was that sort of New England turned their back on him because he's
Uh-huh.
old. He's old, and um, they're gonna need to start thinking about the future. The guy's 42,
Right.
and he makes a lot of money.
And he just got a knee surgery, I think.
Maybe I don't know.
No, right after the thing,
Okay.
Super Bowl.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, that's a big deal when you're in your 40s. I mean, I know of football, I just don't follow it avidly. But if you're in your 40s and you get a knee surgery, the odds of you being able to play another couple of seasons
Oh, once you're
diminish.
40, that you're even playing, I think is like you're
Exactly.
already on way borrowed time. It's over.
Right.
For most people, their career is long over by then. I
Right.
feel.
Right. But I think anyway, let's go on. What
Yeah,
did
so
Howard feel about it?
Howard was talking. I mean, Howard, I think, was most impressed with the guy with the super deep voice who does all the announcements for the Super Bowl. His name is Alan Roach. They had him on the show, and they interviewed him, and they had him cut all those sound drops that they Howard, Howard, uh, Howard Stern.
Exclusives.
It's yeah. I mean, it's pretty funny. It is entertaining to hear that guy's voice played back. I mean, that's why he's got a whole living based around it. And that I feel like that impressed Howard the most because I don't think he's really much into sports. The commercials are shitty. Like I mean, really, like it's very difficult. Did anybody get excited about any of the commercials this year? It seemed like
Yeah.
you're just
Right.
like, oh, enough. Just
It's
fucking
enough.
get back to the game and let's go to bed.
I hate seeing like it's not even well. I mean, I used to watch the Super Bowl commercials like as its own show. That's really what I would prepare for. And I'd watch the game as the complement to the main attraction. And now I don't want to
Sure.
watch all these commercials making believe I haven't been in my house for a year.
Right.
And I'm watching cardboard cutouts at the
Right.
Super Bowl. Like, oh yeah, let's just make believe like the Anheuser-Busch horses are jumping around.
Right.
We're all
Everything's
happy.
fine. Everything's great.
Everything's great. Oh, let's go on a cruise. That looks like a lot of fun. Ooh, Match.com. I'd like to date somebody. Yeah, let's swap spits.
Well,
Sorry,
Baba
I got carried
Booey
away.
pre-watched all the commercials.
He
He pre-watched them, and I guess he
didn't want to have to miss the
That's what he said. He said because during the commercials, he wants to be able free to I guess. Well, there's no guests that he has to mingle with, but I guess
and he gets to get the good seats too. He doesn't even have to give up the good seats now because there's no one.
No one in the bar seats.
This is not related to anything, but one of my favorite memories from like when Stuttering John was back on the show was him making fun of Gary, running after taking care of the kids at like barbecues and stuff, and he'd always be like, "Lucas, Lucas," and I had no reference. I just always thought that was hilarious. How they bust Gary's balls because he's a great father.
That is always the weird
It's
angle.
so ridiculous.
But now Howard respects it. Now,
oh yeah. I think Howard secretly respected it over the years too. I think he just knew it was funny.
yes,
That's my guess.
probably maybe.
Because his big gripe is that his father wasn't like Gary. I mean,
Right. He says he wishes that Gary was his father. He does. He said that before. He has said that before.
Yeah. Oh no. So what are we doing?
So that was that. So yeah, I think Howard's the biggest fan of Alan Roach. He doesn't care about the Tampa Bay or
Yeah, right.
I don't even know.
Although he likes Brady, he likes expertise. He likes excellence. He can respect someone who's at the top echelon of their skill,
right.
Because he sees himself similar to that, and he thinks he can understand the mindset it takes to get to that level, because
Yes.
it's not a natural.
Yes, and he compared like Brady going to Tampa Bay and winning to Howard going to
Right.
Sirius and Sirius acquiring XM, even though Sirius was the underdog for sure, had less subscribers.
Right.
I don't know. Seems like a fair analogy, I guess. It was pretty. I remember when that happened. That was pretty surprising. Nobody
Yeah.
anticipated that happening.
Yeah. And although I think we got tired hearing about it.
Yeah, well, it was a big deal. I mean,
no, I mean when the lead up to it, like, it was
Sure.
like almost it was a definite segment of the show, like a third. It felt like it was a third of the show.
talking about the merger.
Yes.
It's a big deal. He had made a lot. I'm sure he's made a lot of money off that merger. I mean,
That's true.
more
True. A
power
lot of
to
people,
him.
a
But
lot
he
of people
sued. Remember, he sued because he didn't make enough money off the merger.
They had promised some stock or something as part of the deal, and then they tried to back out of it.
They should have just fucking paid him. I mean, come on. Like,
But isn't that isn't that
nobody
like
wants
his
to do
career?
that.
But why do they? Here's the question. I don't know the answer to this. Why has he had so much contract trouble over the years? It's like you could predict he's going to get into legal trouble
Right.
with
I'll
who
tell
he
you
works
why.
for. Okay.
I know the reason to this because yes, Howard signs these big contracts and he makes a lot of money, but he generates a lot of money too. He generates a lot of revenue, and
Right.
I feel like he feels like he's entitled to sometimes maybe more than what's in the contract, or in this case, I mean, with the serious one. I mean, I felt like his interpretation was like pretty reasonable. Of they had specific performance goals and subscriber goals, and they basically weren't counting the subscribers gained from the acquisition of the merger, and the merger wasn't taking place without Howard. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious.
Right.
So I for whatever reason he lost the lawsuit, but I feel like to me it made sense. It seemed very reasonable. It seemed like he was just like fishing for money that he didn't really deserve.
It never seems that way. I mean, it always seems like they just don't want to complete the contract.
The other one, the main one was they didn't want to pay him. They wanted to fire him and not pay him because he was just controversial, even though they fucking knew he was controversial. That's why they hired him.
That's why they hired him, yeah.
Anyway, Super Bowl, the Super Bowl talk was, I think, the best part about it was how uncomfortable the room gets when they started talking about Ralph not being invited to... I guess, was it Jason that had poker games? They used to have Super Bowl poker games or something. I forgot. Why was it related to the Super Bowl?
So it got a little complicated because Ralph has been banned from so many places.
Right.
We might have to
platforms.
And platforms in public space. I don't know about public space.
He's been banned virtually and from actual physical locations. Like
the analog
that's
and
pretty good.
The analog and digital versions of it. So the first banning that I remember is back in the day. Ralph got banned from Howard's Place in Long Island or the Hamptons.
Yes.
Because he got wasted. There was like some type of event they went to. He was peeing at the just feet away, like a couple meters away from the red carpet. He got sick and vomited all over the sheets, and then put him into the washing machine and just.
Yes. He didn't rinse off the vomit. It's like you don't know how washing machines work. No, there's no magic in there that just sucks your chunks of food off and they don't just disappear. Just like when you put your dishes in the dishwasher, you can't just leave a fucking bone on the plate,
Like the cleaning lady's pulling chunks of carrot out of the sheets and crap. Imagine that's your staff who's working on the weekend because you have people over.
Right.
You gotta deal with it. So anyway, he got banned from Howard's Place for that reason.
And he got banned from Jason's place.
Jason is different. Jason is because he used to get into fights with people, Jason's friends, when he would be over. Jason would have people over and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" He'd be Ralph, but at Jason's house. And so Jason, after a while, said he's still allowed over, but he's not allowed over when there are other people over.
That's embarrassing. He's an old man at this point. You can't even say he's a grown man. He's older than me. There's no excuses for my behavior at this point. There's no excuses for Ralph's behavior at this point. I mean, you gotta learn how to act like a human being, at least around other people. If you're by yourself and you want to throw up on your sheets and then not just throw them in the washing machine, that's on you, man. That's your washing machine, your sheets.
Exactly.
But pretend like you're a human when you're around other people, at least.
Oh yeah. Oh man, we could do a whole special episode on Ralph's.
Ralph. The problem with Ralph is it gets too dark because you got all these accusations of stealing from the old poker games with
on the
Artie era.
they're going to Vegas or something, right?
Right.
They're flying out to Vegas and they're playing poker in the plane or something.
There was, yeah.
And Ralph took pocketed like 100.
Something like that.
And then at Nobu, he pocketed like 100 from the tip bucket that they were trying to give out.
That's wrong. That's so wrong.
At least that's what they said, but
they wouldn't lie about that.
Who knows? These
no
guys, they might have all been drinking
and
wasted off their asses.
I trust that Ralph took the money. I mean, I feel like you want to believe that Ralph is okay. I don't think he's okay. I think he's got some issues. And Howard knows it. Howard knows it, and that's why he changes the subject.
I'm just giving balance.
I know. Well, look, I mean, he's in your hood too.
I don't want him to come and beat me up.
Right, exactly. You may have to start using like a what do you call that? Snapchat filter here. How about a cat? Get the cat filter.
Cat on my head.
Probably my favorite part about the Super Bowl, his Howard Super Bowl talk, was when he was talking about the commercials, and he was like, I like to learn about diversity and stuff. Like there was a commercial about like a paraplegic athlete. I like to learn about that stuff, but I don't need it coming from Toyota. Like I don't need Toyota teaching me about diversity. Like just sell me the truck, show me the truck, and I'll sell it. If you want to do a commercial about diversity, just do a commercial about diversity and don't say Toyota. Like why is Toyota involved with that? And I totally agree with that. Like I like the stories of these athletes and whatever. Yeah, sure, that's great. Like I like to learn things, but it seems weird when it's being brought to you by, and then they just lay out something that has nothing to do with it. Like if the guy went on to build trucks or race trucks for a living or something, then yeah, okay, Toyota, there's a tie-in. But this is a swimmer. I don't know. It just seemed like forced. It's like you see like the ad execs at Toyota, like the marketing department of Toyota, like, all right, we got to find like, what do we want? Like a disabled athlete? Do we want like, somebody who lost their parents in a house fire?
Do
we
want an orphan?
Yeah, like come on, you're selling trucks here. Like why?
Do we want a battered wife? Are we looking for a former drug addict, like, a former criminal? Who's the? Well, here's what I'd say. Here's my thought. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you in the sense that they should not be the arbiters of this type of education.
Right.
However, that's your experience to someone who has suffered those wounds, or that ad speaks to them.
Sure.
So it allows them to, because you don't need to.
Are they buying a lot of trucks though?
Who knows? Because they're not spoken to.
Right.
So
they may not know that Toyota trucks exist.
They may not know that Toyota is the truck for them.
Right.
And Toyota is trying to say, hey, I get you. We are just like you. We buy our trucks too. Whereas you don't need that message because you already feel like they're like you.
You're right.
It becomes redundant for
everything.
You. I'm a white
guy. I'm a white guy. Everything is for me. Everything is targeted at me and for me, and I can do anything. I could just go to the Capitol and take a shit and put it on the walls. Fine.
And then they'll just say to you, are you done, Cheapy? Come on, Cheapy.
Right. Would you mind leaving?
Are you all right, Cheapy? Do you need some water?
Some toilet paper? All right. Enough Super Bowl.
Thank you.
We moved on. We moved on to get sort of like a Richard Christie update, where we, learned for the first time that he is on paternity leave, and he's on a 3-month paternity leave, no less. And then Howard started to go off.
Man.
But I'm sure Howard knew he was on a 3-month paternity leave, and he's just trying to do his fun shtick. And he's not really against paternity leave because Howard's not a dummy.
Okay.
He's a smart guy, and he knows that when he, his personality, when he had kids, okay, he could never do a 3-month paternity leave because he's obsessed with being number one. He has his own parent issues and mommy and daddy issues, really.
Right.
So he had a different drive than Richard. Richard is in a different phase of his life, and Richard is fine with not being number one in radio. Richard is fine working on another show. And Richard is fine missing out on work for 3 months at home.
Or is it not his first kid? Maybe it's his second.
No, it's a second kid. It's a second kid. And, they're different people. And Howard just doesn't... I think Howard understands that because he lost his marriage, fell apart because of that.
Right.
Of his drive. So I think Howard gets it, but it was funny to hear him go off on the 3-month paternity leave. But
it was.
We're not all Howard, and not... You know, who's to say that just because Howard made a lot of money doesn't mean that he's necessarily happy or fulfilled, or, you know,
Right.
just because you can have a bowling alley in your house doesn't mean that you're happy. I don't even think he likes bowling. All right. Anything else? Let's move on to what? The celebrity deaths.
Yes.
That's an uplifting topic. As you predicted, Howard did talk about Dustin Diamond, aka Screech, passing away.
Yes.
And
Rest
did
in peace.
play some entertaining old clips.
Yes.
Of Screech being on the show. It was sad hearing, you know, that he had a pretty rough life, and, you know, he had that book that came out where he trashed his co-stars.
Right.
And then later in life said, "Oh, that book was totally made up, and I didn't even write it. I just took the money."
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, he said it was ghost written. And then remember he made a porno.
Yeah, I remember the porno. I didn't watch it. It was just so lame. I couldn't.
He said that wasn't even his penis. That was a stunt penis. I've never seen the porno, so I don't know if he was joking. You're laughing.
Why would you ever go?
I don't know. He needed the money. The guy needed the money. He couldn't get any job.
What's it again?
He couldn't have any. He had no money. He had no money. He'd do anything. It seemed like write a book.
He needed management, man. He needed someone. His father was like, didn't his father? He and his father have a contentious relationship.
Yes,
because his father was managing him. And like he said he worked for like 10 years and has no money to show for it.
Father took the money.
I mean, when you're like we were saying this last episode, but when you're like a child actor, it's just so unfortunate that they don't have some type of requirements that prevent parents from managing them. I mean, look at Britney Spears right now; it's still going on.
Right. And by the way, I highly recommend that movie, Framing Britney. It's on Hulu. It's an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It's from the New York Times. It's very, very good on Britney Spears. Yep.
But who would have known all of that was going on if it wasn't an expose from the New York Times that became a documentary?
Right.
Forever, everybody just thought, oh, she's just crazy.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And it's just, I mean, I just feel my heart goes out to those people because when you learn, I like to rag on Dustin Diamond. I mean, it's perfect. It fits. I mean, you know? And then when you find out this is what is actually going on, like his family is taking his money and he's just exposed, no plus.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sad. It's tough to be a child star. We talked about that last week.
You did. Thanks for bringing us there. I appreciate getting all depressed.
Excuse me. And Leon Spinks died, and they played the clip of when Leon lost his teeth. He showed up at the interview Stern show with no teeth. His false teeth were missing, and then claimed that they were stolen out of his hotel room. Seriously. And they didn't believe him. Nobody believed.
I mean, this again, one of those appearances where you're like, isn't there someone around this guy who's going to say, hey, you know what? I care about you. I don't want you to come across this way to millions.
Once the money goes away, those people go away, unfortunately.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it was hilarious in those calls. And I loved how he would some of these older athletes and musicians would always be hitting on Robin, you know, and you could barely make out what they're saying. And they're still hitting on Robin. And somehow she understands. And she can explain it to the rest of us.
You got Leon Spinks and you got Lenny Dykstra, two aged athletes with no teeth. And didn't Lenny say that he lost his teeth too? Didn't he come in and say he just stopped caring? Because there was one time he didn't have his teeth with him. I'm pretty sure that happened.
Yeah, it does.
Bad. It's funny, but it's not a good. Doesn't mean it means they're not in a good place. If you can't find your teeth.
Yes. I mean,
bad.
Seriously.
That means you got a lot of problems.
Wear your teeth. Keep them on you.
All right. Keep those on you at all times. Let's move on to Tuesday's show. Because I think that was pretty much the big stuff from Monday. Howard started the show talking about the MyPillow guy.
Right.
Mike Lindell. And went on to sort of detail some of his background, basically how the guy, he was literally a crackhead. Yeah. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, he was a crackhead. And I think did Robin tell this story on the show? She said that he literally had to tell his dealers to leave him alone because he was on a crack binge for like 5 days. And he didn't want to buy any more crack. He was afraid he was going to kill him or something. So he told them to like leave him alone.
Don't sell me any more crack. I'm going to call you asking for crack. Don't sell me any more crack. Is that what he? That's what he said.
That's what she said.
And did the dealers listen to that? Because I feel like if I'm a crack dealer, I'm thinking, no, this is the guy who I want. Like, oh yeah. I'll totally do that. And then when you call me in 5 days, I'm like, don't, bro, I got you. I'll be right there.
As a crack dealers always listen to the crackhead because they know what's best.
Right. They always have the crackhead's best interest at heart.
Seriously. I mean, it's just
Hello,
amazing.
You're selling crack to people. You're already fucked up. You're already ruining their lives. I mean, you're not doing them any favors at this point until you stop selling them the crack altogether.
Well, who'd imagine that, years later, fast forward, the former crackhead would create a pillow empire that he would then work as best as he can to completely ruin by behaving like a crackhead. Who'd have thunk it?
He did that, but yet he doesn't even need the crack. His new crack is Facebook. His new crack is social media, and is he a QAnon guy or just like?
I don't know. He's probably like one of those people that thinks that Trump is going to magically become president again.
So I think
sometime in March.
That's a QAnon.
He probably thinks that Trump is Q. I bet you he thinks.
So yeah, it just tells you how powerful. Again, all these all they have to do is just stay off social media and just go about their day. Just go about their day. Sell the fucking pillows.
Seriously.
Talk about pillows. Pillows. I mean, I get it. Like after you know what the problem is. Like after you make a couple $100 million. No, well, crackhead. Yeah, that's not helping. But I mean, he's probably not even on crack anymore. Like you can't even blame it on crack. I feel like that's.
I don't know. The last time I saw him, his mouth was going like.
Oh, really?
Like the cocaine, kind of like the cocaine jitters.
Okay.
Did you see that Newsmax? Is it Newsmax or OAN? I think it was Newsmax. You see that interview that he did?
Yes.
Dude,
is his mouth going crazy?
He's like he's like doing the jaw thing, and he does not stop talking while the other guy anchor's giving the disclaimer.
That was amazing.
And then he's like, "What?"
Right. Yeah, that was really good. Again, another guy. All he had to do was just not fuck up, just not do something stupid.
Dude, he has a company. They have a communications department. They got like actual people who study this stuff at school.
But you know what happens?
Let them do it.
Listen, put yourself in his shoes, okay?
You've
made like $300 million selling pillows, okay?
I can't. Oh,
okay. Just picture that. You have limitless resources, and now you're bored of pillows. It's pillows. It's so boring. Like, oh my God.
I sleep on every day. I'm so sick of pillows.
It's enough with the pillows already. Like I made I made so much money on the pillows. Like, okay, I got this company going. I don't want to pay attention to the pillows. I get it. Because in some ways, like Cheap Ass Gamer, like I've not made anything even in the stratosphere of that. But in some ways, like
How many million you made yet?
Yeah, exactly.
How many 100 million you're gonna make before you get sick
but
of
the
it?
point is, like after 17 years, you're like, yeah, video game deals. I get it, but also like I like other things too. So at his point, like he really doesn't have to pay attention to the pillows anymore because he's
pillows
and he's set. So now he's found more interesting things like conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories, getting banned off of social media platforms,
right?
Alienating his employees, jeopardizing the life and health of his business, creating competitors from spite. Did you see that, David? Was it David Hoff?
Yeah, Hogg.
And there's another guy. I forget the other guy's name.
I don't know, but Mrs. Cheapy had the same idea. She said we should make a liberal pillow company. I said, I'm sure somebody's done it, and we started Googling it.
The Hog was already on it, man.
He was there quick. Well, we thought about it first, but it was like literally like 2 weeks later he announced it.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of being banned from social media platforms, that sort of brings us to the phone call portion of the show where Howard takes a call from Wes from Kentucky. Wes is trying to get one over.
Smart.
First of all, I'm sort of tired of the Howard trope where when somebody calls from Kentucky or, Alabama, like you assume the person is dumb because they have like an accent. I mean, this guy didn't have an accent at all,
Well, let's say one thing. Yes. When he first called, Howard sounded like he was excited that he was from Kentucky. He said, "Oh, Kentucky."
Right. That ended.
That's what he said when he first answered. Oh, Wes from Kentucky.
And then it became, oh, Kentucky. Morons from Kentucky. I'm past that. I'll tell you, to be honest, like my wife is from Japan, and your wife is from Japan also.
Yes.
And she has
we are not of relation.
No. Big place. My wife has an accent, Japanese accent. And so she's very aware that people may think that just because she speaks with an accent, that she is less intelligent than somebody who is a natural born speaker here, or has less knowledge or less information or whatever. So she's made me aware of that situation. So now I work hard to try not to have that prejudice when I hear that, because I've been indoctrinated from the Howard Stern show to think that when I hear that accent, Fred plays the sound effects with the chickens going and the it's too many hours in my brain. So I have to. I'm trying to push back against that. So this guy Wes from Kentucky calls in, and he basically says, Howard, don't you feel you're being hypocritical because right-wing people are getting thrown off social media, such as Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, but you have other people. And he said, but you've made your career about saying controversial things, and nobody's like throwing you off your platform, or you don't speak up you don't speak up for these people. I think that was the complaint. You're just like letting them get kicked off and not saying anything about it. And Howard got mad like really fast, like because I feel like Howard can tell where the caller is going before the caller even knows where he's going. And
he does tell the screener too. He tells the screener, so Howard's got a little blurb.
Sure, but you don't know that the caller was giving the right information to the screener. There might be some of the callers. There's definitely callers like this, like probably like Wes, who they're trying to get one over on Howard. They're trying to, a gotcha moment to bring something back from the Sarah Palin days. And he's trying, and I
don't bring anything else back. I know, from those days.
But I know that Howard is thinking, like he's processing, and he knows that this guy is trying to get him in a gotcha moment, and that's why he gets angry so quickly, and that's why he's like, "Oh, Kentucky, Wes, you're from Kentucky," which is obnoxious. It's really obnoxious. I admit, like Howard, that's enough.
Yes, I agree.
It's very obnoxious.
Yes, it has nothing to do with intelligence. But however, sir, let me suggest to you, there's a slight. I think Howard got super pissed when Wes started saying whataboutism, because he was not asking about free speech any longer.
Correct.
He skipped from free speech, and Howard was actually explaining how free speech works, since he's been in court for it for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And that's really where you learn. I mean, that's where they develop the rules. When they argue the cases, they either say, yep, we're going to keep that old rule, or we're going to change the old rule. So that's where you learn about it, unless you're going to go to law school. And Wes obviously wasn't interested in the answer. He was just trolling Howard, because then he goes to whataboutism. Well, trolls, if you feed the trolls, it can be quite vexing. And Howard, unfortunately, I think when he went to the whataboutism, he's like, why did I go into this? He's trying to be different than Kentucky. Oh, Wes. I thought he was trying to actually expound on the topic and see if he could reach Wes to a degree.
But then he just starts insulting Wes by saying, you wouldn't like it if I said you're a pedophile. And he just did like 20 examples of Wes performing
Wes should have been able to pick
action.
that up, though. So Wes should have been able to say, yeah, I don't want you saying that. But Wes wasn't listening. He said, what about
your friend Hillary?
What about Hillary? It made no sense at all. I had to I was online. I saw a comment to figure out what Wes was talking. I didn't even understand.
Wes goes, what about the Russian collusion hoax? Now,
what does that even mean?
Well, who is the only person you've ever heard say Russian collusion hoax?
Trump about a minute.
Okay, there you go. So at that point, you're like, meanwhile, Wes could have called up, and there's plenty of like controversial things. I mean, I understand you want to try to get like a gotcha thing on Howard. You're probably not going to get that, but you could like maybe push Howard to talk about something a little bit uncomfortable that maybe he doesn't want to talk to. If you do it the right way, you say, instead of this bullshit and bring up Hillary Clinton, Howard, you've made your career, you've made your long, a lot of money off a career saying controversial things, being a shock jock, and building an audience, literally saying shocking and controversial things.
Right.
And true, can't deny that. That's totally true. Okay, so where was I going with this?
He's got controversy over the years.
So you got
up in
all
a way
this,
that Howard talks about it.
You got all this controversy. You spoke your mind, freedom of speech, everything, right? You said a lot of crazy things. But now today, you have this big archive, and we would love to have access to this archive to your shows because we've been fans for so long. But you've said controversial things, and now you're basically self-censoring yourself. You're censoring your past archive of shows. To us, the audience, we don't have access to them anymore. How do you feel about that? Was that a difficult decision to make? Does that, confront your previous notions of free speech and being controversial? Like, how do you equate those things?
Right.
You're not accusing him of being an asshole. You're saying, like, here are some facts that exist in the world. What do you think about them? Yes, they involve you. What are your thoughts about them?
Yeah, yeah.
And then Howard is not going to be yelling at you because you weren't confrontational. You can, be nice.
Yeah, I see, but that's if Wes actually wanted to have that dialogue. He just wanted to troll Howard. That was it.
Right.
And he didn't think it through.
And I think that's why Howard gets mad. Don't you think Howard gets mad because it could have been like an interesting call, maybe if the guy actually had there's a good quote. I took this off. I actually got something good off the Howard Stern Reddit. This is from Mike Droppa. I actually gave him Reddit coin or something. I don't know. I had free silver. I had a free Reddit silver. He said, I know you guys need to, this is Mike Droppa. I know you guys need to take every opportunity to stick it to Howard, but you're confusing his impatience with some imagined lack of information. God forbid someone calls a radio show and makes a coherent argument. It's hard. Like,
I think that it ruined an opportunity for Howard to do not necessarily a comedy bit, but do an explanation bit without it always being about how evil Trump is or how crazy his supporters are, and try to make at least something that they might open their ears a little bit because they obviously like him and they listen to him. And when the guy stepped on it, I think he's like, because how long is he gonna have to wait for another opportunity? Because they keep calling with the same talking points. Right. So it's hard to expand past that when they keep saying, "What about Hillary?" Well, Hillary who? How many thousands of years ago? She's not even working for the government anymore.
Once Howard realizes that they're not really looking to have a discussion, they're just looking to make me look bad.
Right. Yeah.
Then that's not interesting anymore. That's a disingenuous situation. And why is that? There's enough of that on Twitter. We don't need it. It's not good. That's not good radio. And that's why Howard gets mad.
Exactly. I think you pretty much summed it up perfectly there. It's not Twitter. Comments on the radio is not the same as sniping on Twitter or Reddit. It's not interesting. You don't want to listen to it. You'll cut out of it. You much rather listen to interesting dialogue, even if you don't agree with it. At least it's something different than what you're already thinking. You know?
After those calls, there was another call. There was a guy who called in and he asked, his name was Kyle. He asked if he should go into radio. He asked Howard if it was a good time to go into radio right now. And Howard was like, what, are you fucking kidding me? He's like, have you been listening to the show?
He was trying so hard not to step on that kid's dream.
I know.
He normally would have. Of course not. It sucks. I hate radio. It's been torture. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I got to ask you though.
Yeah.
You would do. What would you say to somebody if they were would you start over again after, 15, 17
Well, I'm not
years?
in radio. I'm just doing a dopey podcast. It doesn't cost me anything to do it. It's fun. I only do it because it's fun.
Right.
Like the CADcast, we have a fair amount of listeners to the point where we have sponsors. But I don't make any money off the show. I don't keep any of that money. I do it because it's fun and I like talking about video games with my friends. And it's cool that they can get some money off it and buy video games. And it's a fun situation. If it stopped being fun, I would stop doing it. Just like this. I'm not doing this because I think it's good. We're going to get a ton of listeners and we're going to make money. I'm doing it because...
We're not getting paid?
Right.
Wait, whoa. Is this on? Are we on the air? We're not getting
transmission.
paid?
So it's fun. I do it because it's fun. And that's the great thing about podcasting is that you can do this from your home. Right. And if this is something that you find fun, just do it. It doesn't matter if you have people listening to you or not. It can be fun for you. If you're talking to your friend, if it's an excuse for you to talk to your friends for an hour, a half a week, that seems like that's a pretty good excuse to do pretty much anything. And it's not hard these days. Like, you don't need to spend a lot of money. So I don't know about going into the radio business. I don't know. I have no experience with that whatsoever. So that I can't say anything about. But Howard seems to think it's a bad idea.
Well, you think so? You would do it again, though.
Rewind and easy. Well, it's fun, easy, no problem. I never had any problems.
Like, good stuff.
No.
So with Howard though, I felt like he was trying to be different, encourage somebody for once instead of be the voice of his parents telling him what he can't do.
That's why he was trying to be. He was trying not to be that.
Do you think that Kyle should go into radio?
I don't fucking know.
Advice for Kyle?
Probably not. I have zero advice for Kyle.
I'll get a podcast.
Howard started talking about how upset he is that OJ and Gary Glitter are getting vaccines, and they're both criminals.
Wanting it too. It's like so wrong.
It's not fair just because they're old. I mean, they're getting the vaccines because they're of age. I guess they're at the right age to get them, and Howard's not quite there yet. I guess.
Oh, okay. Right.
I'm sure Howard's gotten the vaccine already, right? Like,
you think so?
The dude's got so much money. I mean, if a guy with $400 million, I mean, he's got a lot more than that. If he can't get a vaccine, then nobody's getting a vaccine. I bet that it might have taken him a little bit, but to be honest, I feel like he could get it if he wanted. I'm not saying that he did, but he's not going anywhere or doing anything, so he may not feel that rush to get it. You know what I mean? Like, he's not putting himself at any risk of getting COVID. So I don't know that he's in a rush. And he's not like he's going to get the vaccine and then go, I'm free, and start doing things. Like, he's not. That's not what's happening.
Okay, so listen. Okay, this is for everybody listening. As soon as you get a chance to get the vaccine, take the vaccine. There ain't nobody waiting for a special time to take the vaccine.
Okay.
Because the risk always lasts as long as you are not immune to the disease. Okay. Fine. So I think paranoid as he is about health and stuff, I think he would do it as soon as he could. And I think
he got it. You think he got it? Yes or no?
No, I don't think he got it.
Okay.
I think he would tell his listeners to do it. I think he would tell them when he got it. And I think the same for Robin too.
Right.
Because aside from the Wesses from Kentucky, he has a lot that he actually loves and cares for and wants them to get vaccinated.
Sure.
And he wants the West from Kentucky to get vaccinated too. So but maybe I'm projecting because I need us to understand that we all must get the vaccine for it to work.
We understand. We all understand that. I did enjoy that bit because they played a lot of OJ drops, and those are always fun.
Damn.
And Howard didn't even recognize the OJ drop. He was like, "Who is that?" And Fred's like, "It's OJ." Or one of them. That was later. Maybe it was a different show. But one of the shows this week, Howard did not recognize an OJ drop.
I didn't get enough of that damn. Like, I just wanted Fred to just sit on that button.
By the way, a quick recommendation for for some of our white listeners.
Hey, now.
Have you seen the OJ Made in America on ESPN, the miniseries?
Is that the one with Cuba Gooding Jr.?
No, I don't think so.
I've not seen it. I saw the one with Cuba.
Well, if you're a white guy and you want to understand why when OJ was found...
People are not allowed to listen.
What's that?
Black people are not allowed to watch.
No, they are. But you already know this information. This information is not going to be anything new for you, I'm pretty sure. That's my point. If you want to understand why there was, when you heard that when you heard the OJ verdict and all the black people were cheering and the white people were going, oh, and you still don't understand why, watch OJ Made in America on ESPN. Okay. And you will know precisely why. They explain it. It's for you. It was for me. I was watching. I'm like, I'm so glad I watched this. I learned so much. And it was very interesting. I would highly recommend OJ Made in America on ESPN.
I will check it out this weekend.
Also, Tuesday's show marked, quote, end quote, the return of Beetlejuice. But it was a little bit of a tease.
A little bit of a tease.
We got an update that Beetlejuice is living with his mom, and because his mom is very protective, and that's why we're not hearing him on the show. Is that correct?
That's what they said. I believe our conspiracy theory, which our fans helped us figure out last week,
Okay.
which is that Beetle was under the weather, and that's why we haven't seen him. And I also believe that the show decided to go with Beetle because we brought that out. So thanks to the fans for helping us be relevant, and you guys were directing the show. Okay, keep listening. Make sure you follow us so that we can keep keeping the direction of the show the way we want it to go.
Right.
Completely in my head, by the way. But
so we didn't get, all we got was that little update and a couple of clips of like Beetlejuice at a diner or something, and then a song, a new remix of the Beetlejuice. This is Beetlejuice. Is that the name of the song?
it's Beatles in the House, I think.
Oh, Beetle in the House with
Beetle in the House,
featuring Sean Paul and
Snoop Dogg
and Snoop Dogg
and somebody else. One more person. I can't remember the name.
It was like somebody, Maddie or something. No, Big Frida. Beetle, yeah. I mean, I laughed listening to the song. Obviously, you're gonna laugh, but it was not the Beetlejuice reunion that I was hoping for.
It was not as bad as Can. I mean, we could all admit that, right? I thought it was nice that Beetle got a song with, legends.
How much does it cost to get Sean Paul to drop like 2 lines on your song?
Whatever 3 years costs.
Why did it take 3 years?
Because they waited until we mentioned Beetlejuice and found out that he was sick to put it on the show because they didn't want to wait too long. That's right. I'm calling it.
I'm calling that's not what happened. Speaking of conspiracy theories, a caller calls in with a QAnon problem. His family members, he's laughing so hard. Oh my God. The guy calls in and he's saying that his family is indoctrinated, asking for help. Howard didn't really have any help for them, how they could get their family members back.
Oh, but this is the one with the mom is a QAnon believer. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
and they just can't get to her. They can't reach her. But don't you think like Howard's got his own QAnon conspiracy theorist?
Okay.
If you look at the Stern Show Reddit, 90% of the posts are conspiracy theories about Howard. Yesterday I looked at it. It's like, I have evidence that Howard wears a wig. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I click on it. The photographic evidence, I believe, was the subject. I click on it and I see there's like 4 pictures. 4 of the blurriest, most useless pictures you ever saw. And I'm reading this and like someone commented like, these pictures are meaningless. They don't show anything. And I just commented, do-anon. Do. So Howard's got do-anon, which is these guys, they think everything's a conspiracy. Howard's like, out to fuck everybody over. Everything that he's done is some vast thing. He's got to worry about that.
He's got to worry about it. Well, so what to switch back to the advice.
Yep.
What would you have told the caller?
You got to get them off Facebook. If you can't get them off Facebook, they're not going anywhere. It's like, how are you going to get a heroin addict if they're still doing off heroin, if they're still doing it? Like, it's not happening.
Right. You're absolutely right.
There's no, what was Artie's thing that he took to get him off?
Subutext.
There's no subutext for Facebook. There's no like clean version of that. Maybe like Pinterest.
Not Parlor.
By the way, Howard mentioned Pinterest.
Oh yeah? How come?
I don't know. And I was shocked that he was on Pinterest. I think he had said it. I'm pretty sure. Like, I was like, Howard's on Pinterest?
He might have been image searching. Like, as an artist, sometimes you search for reference images and Pinterest will come up. But my thinking about the QAnon guy, the caller, you're right. That I didn't think about it until you just said it that way. It's really just addiction to devices and social media. And I bet you money that mother of his is on that phone constantly.
Of course.
Always updating the Facebook, high-fiving the Own the Libs or high-fiving Stop the Steal or whatever nonsense.
No question.
When you talk about the Reddit, the do-anon, do. I think that
it's the same thing.
But I think it's also, you want to get an upvote on your comment, man. Yep. That's like an endorphin. You get a kick out of that,
It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing, but Facebook is just amped up, they're they've designed it. They've designed it to really fuck with you, basically.
Well, the GRU uses the Russian intelligence services actually had like a team that used Facebook to do it, so that makes sense. Then
it works. The system works. They know the system works. Then this show had an interview. They had a Kristen Wiig interview, which I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't listen to the whole thing. Rather, I heard some of it. It's a little too much SNL for me lately, and I'm not really that familiar with Kristen Wiig, to be honest. And that doesn't stop me with his other interviews. Like, I've heard a lot of, well, we'll get to that, actually. Do we have a musicians thing on here?
I don't know if there was room.
He's had some musicians on that we're not familiar with that I've come to appreciate, like, a lot from hearing it. Like, Lady Gaga. Like, I didn't give a shit about Lady Gaga. And then I heard her play just the piano in the studio, and I'm like fucking crying listening to this. Like,
well, and she also told the story. It was to her for the passing of her grandfather, I believe. Was that it, or her father?
Yeah, and then she wrote a song about her grandmother's sister or something, her aunt or something.
The song that she did in there was was talking about this person passing away and transitioning into glory, and it was just such a moving.
Yeah. And she's so talented. Her voice is like
super
ridiculous.
Talented, ridiculous. Or James Taylor, he had what was it Rocky Mountain High? I forget. Well, he probably did that song too. But a couple years ago, when he was in and he did it in studio, I was like completely brainwashed that I loved this singer. And this must have been maybe 15, maybe Artie was still in there when he came and did it.
Right.
And I was like, I like hunted down the interview so I could cut the song out of it.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It was so good. Yeah, it was the only version of that James Taylor song that I would listen to.
Right. So I'm not opposed to like listening
first thing in the morning, by the way. I mean,
impressive. I'm not opposed to interviews with people that I'm not familiar with or not into, because that's how you get introduced to new people and new artists. Yeah. But I feel like SNL, it's a little too much SNL. And I know like a lot of the talk is going to be about SNL. So I really didn't listen to very much of it.
Yeah, I didn't that much myself. I have like an aversion to the interviews because sometimes I feel like I don't want to know that much about this. I'm not that interested, and it's like a block, and I want to go back to the comedy. I want to hear Sal. I want to hear Cole.
Yeah.
So I have the aversion, but I have been pleasantly surprised when I've just gone in and listened. I mean,
it works out sometimes.
Sometimes it works out. And Howard has always been obsessed with SNL forever, because some of the younger fans of this show may not be aware, but SNL used to be much more of a black box, and in terms of its inner workings,
right,
and much more dictatorial.
Yep.
So it's always been kind of like, what really goes on? And now it kind of flipped over a little bit.
Howard has exposed every fucking thing about SNL at this point. I mean, he's really, you're right. It was like everything was a secret about SNL, but Howard was obsessed with SNL, and he's uncovered almost I mean, I can't imagine like there's much that we don't know about how the show works at this point. So that's why I sort of tune out of that. Anyway, let's move on to Wednesday's show real quick. There wasn't that much to talk about because the main focus of the show was the Foo Fighters. Right. I've never really been into Foo Fighters. Nothing against Foo Fighters. Like their music's fine to me, but it's just, I'm not that type of music. I was never really into like the 90s, that style of music. Even in the 90s, I wasn't like.
I used to dig it. I used to listen to Z100.
Okay.
That was good.
Did you listen to their performance?
I didn't. I listened to a piece of it.
Okay.
I just didn't want to be tied down that long to listen to them perform because I was doing other stuff. But because it's like the same thing for the interview. Sometimes it's such a big block. I'm not that. I don't want to be sitting down for that much time on this one topic. However, the music ability of those guys is just. Yeah. I respect their ability.
Totally.
David Grohl's talent tremendous.
I listened to some of the interview actually. I didn't hear the performance part, and it was really interesting because like these guys are on the top of their game.
Top of the game, yeah.
And the interesting thing is the drummer there. The Dave Grohl, right? Dave Grohl, that's the name. Who's the name?
Yeah, I think it's David Grohl.
He was the drummer for Nirvana, but he's not. He doesn't play the drums in this band. There's another guy, and this guy, I think his name is Taylor, and Taylor tells a story.
Taylor's off the mic like me.
He said he met Axl Rose somewhere, and Axl Rose asks Taylor, "What's it like to play drums for the best drummer of the 90s.
Right? That's got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, and
or
it was
maybe it's fun. I don't know. It
yeah,
could be
that was
too.
pretty cool. So that was, that's fine. And I know Howard loves the Foo Fighters. And at this point in
Yeah.
Howard's career, he should be interviewing whoever he wants to interview personally. Like, it's his show. It's the Howard Stern show. I'm
But
sure
this
he
was-
thinks of it that. Do you think he thinks it that way? Like, he only wants to book guests that he's personally interested in. And
I think because he understands that it will work if he's interested. Sort of like if you try to make each other laugh because you're hoping that the person listening in will find it funny too. But I think that Foo Fighters is actually opening up a channel or something on
yes,
Sirius.
that's what they were
So
promoting.
that was a promotion, I think.
Yes, it was.
So I think he does like them and all, but I think he's business minded, honestly.
Sure.
I mean,
Okay.
you don't get this far if you're the stars and celebrities and artists that you see super successful that are still deciding things just by their belly at the moment are the people with significant drug problems.
Mike Lindell, you're saying? Okay. Actually, Howard, we sort of jumped the gun. Howard opened the show talking about Phoebe Bridgers and her smashing of the guitar on SNL, and that he thought it was sort of forced. And look, I haven't seen the video, but the long and the short of it is that she knew that breaking this guitar was going to be very difficult because she contacted the company ahead of time, and the guitars are really sturdy. And apparently, it took her forever to break the guitar. I haven't seen it. And Howard was like, it looked really forced and kind of weird. Like, I felt like bad for her. But maybe maybe Howard is missing the point. Maybe she's an artist and she was performing, and this was part of her performance. Like, I'm trying to break this guitar and I can't break it properly, and it looks weird. And this is my art.
And you don't just
know.
give up. You don't walk off your own stage. You don't walk off your own show. You finish it. And the other thing I thought about that was that I think they're looking at it a little bit backwards, not forwards. She's breaking that guitar for a different reason. I think Fred kind of really exposed it well. She's breaking that guitar for a different reason that it happened in history. Like the reason why that started, Fred said it. The guitar broke by accident.
Right.
That was it. It broke by accident.
The crowd liked it.
The crowd liked it, so now it became a thing. That's
And now
different.
now I know her name. I didn't know her name before.
Right, but then so it came to mean angst, an expression of counterculture as this musician, and I'm hardcore, I'm a rocker. Nowadays, getting a fantastic guitar isn't as difficult as it used to be back in the day. It was, like Fred was saying, those bands had to keep them sturdy and tape them back together after they broke them because they couldn't get another guitar. She's got like racks of them, so it's a different
It
statement.
was a $90 guitar also.
There you go. So it's a different statement, but I feel that Howard and Robin just couldn't connect because they're looking at it as if it's from the past, and she's trying to imitate what happened in the past.
Who knows what she's trying to show?
Who knows exactly? Did they ask her what she was trying to say with it?
Exactly.
No, I mean, did she ever come out with a statement? I was trying to say this.
No, but she got into fights with a lot of people on Twitter, including what's his name, David Crosby.
Mike Lindell.
No, David Crosby.
David Crosby.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Literally.
didn't think she broke it. She didn't break it manly enough.
No, she thought it was disrespect. He thought it was disrespectful to music to break guitars. Nobody should break guitars. That's what he said.
I agree. I think you shouldn't be destroying instruments. They're tools that create. But a show is a show, so whatever.
Howard then went on to talk about this TV. He's watching some weird TV shows these days, including a show called I Am Jazz, which he went on to talk about for quite a long time.
Right.
It's like a transgender transitioning show. And then he did a bit about what if Howard was transitioning and he had to call his parents. He was jealous of Jazz's parents because they were so understanding with their transition. And Howard
laughing at his parents, not Jazz's plight, okay?
Yeah. And then Howard did like a long bit of him pretending to be his parents and that they don't understand.
What?
What?
Transition.
What do you mean you want a deep vagina? Why? Anyway, I don't know. I tune out. I don't understand like how Howard has the worst. I love Howard, and I listen. I take his advice like on a lot of things, and I've learned so much from him. But his taste in movies and TV shows is not good. It's like a 12-year-old girl, I'm going to say.
I would agree with that.
He's looking to relive a part of his life that wasn't that great for him. So he's looking for like teen romance And like he's relating, he's looking for like parents who are paying attention to their children and teen romance, things that he didn't have growing up. He's trying to find in these shows. That's why he's watching what's the Olivia Jade, because she's got the best life in her as a teenager, or she's 20 or whatever. She's got the world is her oyster. It's the opposite of what Howard had. So he loves this. This is all like fantasy. This is like Fantasy Island for him. Like,
yeah, but it's also interesting content. I mean, when would you and I ever talk about what a transition person
never,
is
but or
learning about it. And it's been part of the show. I think he's been on the cutting edge of discussing trans issues in a serious way. I'm not serious way he discussed it. He was doing comedy. Right. But seriously, he was one of the first, if not the first, to have like, you remember ever seeing a transsexual on TV before Siobhan?
No, he's been like that for everything. All she was LGBT on
Channel 9
stuff.
Show, I think.
Yeah.
But she was a transvestite at the time, I think, when she was on Channel 9 show.
Yeah.
That's going back like a long way. So it's an issue that's always been interesting to him. I'm glad that he kind of does the look through of that, the monitoring of that stuff for me, so I don't have to watch it. If he says something that makes me think, oh, maybe it is interesting enough, either I'll watch it or I'll just deploy the wife on the reality.
Are you going to watch
show.
1,000 Pound Sisters?
I deployed the wife on that one, so she just calls me when there's a highlight.
Stuff. My wife is not into any of that. We're never going to watch any of that reality. She thought about watching Bling. Something. It's Asian, rich Asians. It's like
yeah, I saw that.
Bling Empire. Yeah, oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy right there? Who's a good boy?
He is a good boy.
Yeah, he is. He's waiting.
We're having too much fun. He wants me to play with him.
He knows we're wrapping it up. He knows we're wrapping up, and it's time for fun times to happen.
You know what it is? It's time for food. It's dinner time. He's hungry.
Let's just finish talking about Wednesday's show real quick. They talked about they had a fake Ivanka called in.
I love what she calls it. She's great.
She is very good. She's pretty talented. I don't think a lot of the haters are going to enjoy that call when Ivanka crying, because all the haters are Trump supporters, I feel.
But why you got to be able to laugh at funny, man? You got to laugh at funny.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Please tell me about.
Tell me about Gentleman Jim.
Please. All right, man. Settle down. Sorry about that. I love the Ivanka calls. She is great. She is hilarious. And if you can't laugh at something fun, even Daniel Carver could laugh at black people. Just let that sink in. If you are so filled with anger that it's affecting your ability to enjoy your own life, I would suggest you distance yourself from these people who are filling you with anger.
That's very wise. It's too wise for a show like this. Doofy show like this. Anything else we need to talk about from Wednesday's show? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Is there any how much time we got left?
No time.
2 minutes?
No time.
No time? It's over? It's already over.
Yes. If you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch, whatever, you can find the audio version of the show everywhere. Just Google Proper Modulation Podcast. You'll find us anywhere, or just search for us in iTunes or whatever it's called now. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're in all that shit.
We're everywhere, like broken glass.
Yeah, and we're on Twitter at Proper Mod Pod.
Proper Mod Pod. Proper Mod Pod. Proper Mod Pod. Proper Mod Pod. Proper Mod Pod. Proper Mod Pod.
And
you can't do it that fast.
I can't. Check out Shuli's podcast on Patreon.
Yeah, support the Stern Show cast so that they continue to make comedy for us.
He's getting good feedback.
Oh, good.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.